Hello and welcome to Study in Slovakia. Today we are lucky to have with us a language teacher, Helena. She is in Bratislava and pretty experienced teacher about Slovak language. And us as foreigners always need some Slovak language to impress Slovaks, or at least to, go through our livelihood every day. So we are glad to have her today in our show, and she'll give her some insight about how is it to stay in Slovakia and learn some language or even learn it online. So welcome, Helena, to our show, Study in Slovakia. Firstly, I would like to ask you, how about if you introduce yourself and your experience in this field?
I'm really happy that I can be part of your project and your interviews. I'm coming originally from Žilina, and I've been working in Bratislava for more than 17 years. And what I do is that I'm teaching Slovak foreigners. And I work for the Center Studia Academica Slovaka, which is a department of Faculty of Arts of Comenius University. So this is my main job. And with this job is also connected the writing of the teachers' books and students' books. Probably some of you know the books Krížom krážom. So I was the lucky one that in 2006, we became a big team, starting with e-Slovak online course, and then we started to work on the series of this book, and we were really happy that our director, Docent Jana Pekarovičová, gave us this chance, young teachers, to start to write their own exercise and students' book.
Wow, that's great, actually. That's great. You're a pretty experienced teacher, it seems. So I would like to ask, do you teach only English to Slovak, or do you also teach Ukrainian, Slovak, and what are language combinations do you teach?
I teach only Slovak, but when there is a big need for explanation in some foreign language, I'm using English, German, or Serbian. These languages help me with explanation for certain maybe grammatical topics. But the thing is that I always try to use as much Slovak as possible. Only when I see that the students can get really frustrated, then I use their native language just to help them a little bit to get the point, and then we go on in a Slovak language. That's my rule, speaking Slovak as much as possible. Our students are coming from different countries. During the semester, most of them are the students of Slovak lectorates. There are 23 lectorates in the whole world where Slovak is studied at universities. And then during the summer language school come students from more than 38 countries all over the world. For example, 160 people. So it's really international mixture, and it's a great adventure and great experience.
And these lectures are in Slovakia, or is it also abroad, for Slovak language?
All of them are abroad, mostly in Europe, but we also have this lectorate in, for example, China. So this is very interesting.
That's really interesting.
And then the rest is in Europe.
That is great. That is great. And as a foreigner, because I'm already staying 3.5, 4 years over here, so I still don't have the 100% grip of the language, not even 30%, I would say. So in your opinion, how much time does it take for a foreigner to get a grip of Slovak, which he can at least, take a basic communication and conversation ahead with a Slovak?
Well, there's actually not precise answer, because it depends on what time you invest into learning. We had a student in summer school who was, we say, zero beginner. And after 3 weeks of intensive course, he was able to understand, to present himself, to ask what he wanted, to say what he wants, what he doesn't want. He could go to the restaurant and order something. So let's say that the most talented students can get the point, the most useful phrases, even after 1 month, if they are really working hard. But he was really working hard. And then usually we have our books designed for 1 semester or for 2 semesters. For example, Slavic students can pass the A1 level after 1 semester. So all this is related to the motivation of the student and how much time he invests into the language. Of course, the best is, like in your case, when you stay in the country, that the language is all around you, that you don't have to search for videos to hear some native speakers, but the language is all over you. You will not run away from it. So this is the best way. So
Yeah.
there is not precise answer. It all depends on the default or the settings of the students, what he wants and how hard he works.
I see. And because I was asking this question, because actually in my case, firstly, instantly within a month, as you told, I could pick up the basic phrases like introducing myself, getting into situations, asking for something. But it was those phrases that just stayed over for a really long time. And I couldn't go further to pull up a conversation with a friend or with a native Slovak speaker. Like I go with how are you? Ako sa mate, but I'm good. And after that, I want to speak maybe, how was your day? How are you doing? And all those things. That is the hard part for me because it takes a lot of time with the keywords, especially.
I think before, okay, it's always great to have friends, but I know that it's more comfortable when you meet and when you go for beer. So coming from these phrases to real talk is sometimes tough, and you don't want to tire them and you don't want to exhaust you. So maybe still there is somewhere in between important to have some teacher who gives you as much opportunity as possible to speak in Slovak, something like the mediator in between these two worlds. But it's also all about you. You have to invest more time for example, reading. The best thing or very good thing is also to read the books which are written in, for example, English and Slovak, and you passively get many vocabulary or much vocabulary, etc. And just do not get stressed, because sometimes even the waiters, when they hear that you have some accent, that they're foreigners, they switch to English because they're happy that they can show that they speak English and that they, have guests speaking English. But then be like really patient and go on in Slovak. Don't let him change you and try to use English. Make him wait and ask the things in Slovak, and he will get used to it. Or tell him, sorry, I want to learn Slovak. And if you go there maybe every day for coffee, maybe you will have the small talks. You will have a little like waiter friend, and it can help you maybe, because it's always, language is a mean of communication. It's not, okay, let us play that we communicate or let us make the situation. Just really to get as much to real communications as possible. But it can start in this short, over and over repeating dialogues, for example, ordering something. But for sure, the waiter will always bring something new, some new phrase, or you will order something different. So maybe just to get in contact with people, maybe also this way.
I wanted to know this thing that which is the hardest part, or which is the part where people struggle the most as foreigners, especially non-Slavic, because for Slavics, I know it's a little easier to get the language, but, English speakers, German speakers, or like me, let's say Hindi speaker, which part is the little hard part in the language?
Depends with the nation. Some nations have, for example, big problem with pronunciation. For them, the soft consonants like ch, sh, zh, j sound the same, and they don't understand why we think they sound different, and we correct them. So, for example, the Spanish speaking people have really big problem with this. Or, for example, students coming from Asia, there is problem for them to distinguish between R and L, because in their language is something in between, and they will never hear it, and they will, okay, it's not never, but they are really struggling with this. And if they make it, if they're possible to distinguish, it's a really great thing. So for some group of the students, it's also the pronunciation, because every language has a different way of articulating certain, let's say, sounds, to say it like in basic language. And then what is, of course, for non-flexible languages difficult is the cases. if the languages do not have cases, or if the students never studied Latin, or they never studied some language which had some kind of cases system, then it's really difficult that there is, in English, to mom, about mom, with mom, my mom, and in Slovak, mamu, mame, or mames, mamo. So to understand this logic of the language is sometimes difficult. And what is maybe one of the most difficult things is, I don't know, maybe you have also faced that problem, is talking about future, because you have to be aware of the aspect of the verb. You have to know if it's imperfective or perfective. So if you have to say budem kúpiť or kúpim, so then you know that you have to say kúpim. So this aspect is quite tough for students. Most of the Slavic students have the feeling for it, according to some Slavic languages. But I also had a perfect student from Ireland. She was perfect in German. She was perfect, I think, in French. And she had intuition. This was really unique. She could feel if she says that the verb, for example, is perfective or imperfective, which is important to know when you want to say something in future.
And also, actually, I would like to add over here, for me, the hard part was those soft verbs. You have gekenili, gekenele. I can't still pronounce it properly, but yeah, that's the hard part. And but the letters were actually easy to learn, because like with the a or with the k, all that was like kind of easy. But this soft verbs were really hard to pronounce, because we always speak the hard way, right? When we are speaking, I don't know, the English language or German language or some other languages, the hard way. So these soft, like gi, oh my God, that was really a little hard to, let's say, catch up. And it didn't make sense if I mispronounced it.
But actually, if you mispronounce this, everybody will understand you. If you say, for example, mám doma 3 deti, so Slovak can find out that you're talking about your children. Of course, he will realize you're probably right.
Yeah, because I remember just one small example from this. I think, Martina is also called Machka, and also the cat is called Machka. And for me, it sounded the same, and I couldn't understand the difference. And I was calling Machka as Machka. I was like, okay. Yeah.
But now you were using a good position, because when you said Machka, you said it in front, Machka.
Machka.
And when you were saying Machka, so just to go back to palatum, so you just make the T softer. So it's the ch. I'm just saying to my students, just when you say t and you softly touch in the back further, Machka, then it works. It's the same with the ďakujem. You don't have to say ďakujem, but you just go ďakujem.
Yeah.
So one can see that you have already got it.
Trying to get it, But actually, this is the interesting part about experienced teachers. Like you told, it goes inside, and which part pronounces which thing. That's really interesting to learn, because generally when we are learning through online lessons, not online lessons, but video lectures or something, we just learn to speak it out. We don't get corrected that if we are speaking it out from the proper part, to sound a proper way. So this is really interesting to learn it from an experienced teacher.
Yeah, this is actually the part we didn't like when we were studying as students of Slovak language at university. When we were studying, it was this phonology. What is it? Why do we need it? But now I can say, I can help the student. Okay, say it more back, or go with your tongue there, go behind the teeth, in front of the teeth, use your lips. This everything helps. Then, okay, I got it.
What is the biggest motivation as being such an experienced teacher you might have experienced? What are the motivations? What are the needs for people to come and learn Slovak?
There are so many. And it's such a rich variety, as the life of people is rich, because of course there are people like you who come to Slovakia and you're in Slovakia, so it's natural for you to learn the language, or the people marry some Slovak, even if they live abroad. or in America, in Italy, they married Slovak man or woman, and they would like to understand this high language of their family. So this is the main motivation, the people coming to the country and people having these family relationships or having friends. Then it's business, people who work here or people who cooperate with Slovakia. So this is like as if one package. And then the second package are people who just like studying languages. And for them, maybe Slovak language is so exotic because it's spoken by not even 5 million people. And okay, we are not talking about the people who are living abroad and their ancestors, and they had ancestors from Slovakia. But for them, it's like interesting. It's like cool. Okay, somebody in China decides to learn Slovak just because it's exotic. It's not English. It's not the big language. So it can be this reason. Or for example, some students are studying the international relationships, they're studying history, or they're writing some thesis and they're focused on the East European region, and maybe the communism topics, etc. So I know some of students who were perfect in Slovak thanks to this motivation. And then I know the stories when people started to learn Slovak by accident, and then they were happy that it happened, and they didn't even know what would happen, and it will be a nice adventure, and they would like it. And sometimes people told me it was love for the first sight. So some people just experienced something nice with Slovaks and Slovak language, and they just felt they want to. So it's really different reasons.
I understand. That's a wide variety of reasons for sure. And especially, especially when we are a student or it's about business or something. Yeah, I understand that we need to communicate with the locals. I've never had a conversation with an author who is writing about linguistic studies and also about the language and phonetics and all. So how was your experience and how does it work exactly?
In the beginning, we were really young. We were like maybe 24, 25 when we started to write our first teacher's book and student's book. Student's book. We were quite experienced in teaching, quite experienced. Okay, we were not new teachers, and actually, according to this experience, we have decided that we don't like the books which we were using. It's not that they were bad, but just the way we wanted to teach, the approach we wanted to use, the communicative approach, the creative approach. We wanted more talking and more communication, less tables and charts, less grammar. We wanted to be grammar part of the situation of communication. So we started to actually put this experience, as we say in Slovak, on paper. And it was a really big adventure for us and really great feeling in 2006 or 2007 when we had this first book. And it was also really good, we say, school of life when you have to cooperate as a big team. Each of us is talented in some other field. Somebody's more creative, somebody's more precise, somebody's more linguist. Then we had to learn how to cooperate with the illustrator or a cartoon drawer, illustrator, we call it in Slovakia, and the graphics, and how to think in the graphic way so that he can do what we want, because it's a teacher language and then the technical graphic language. And we had to learn how to do it. So this was a really big school, and then getting the experience from our colleagues. And according to their experience, according to our experience, we have already done 2 re-editions of our books. And according to our experience, we have now published 3 years ago a teacher's book for teachers, which is called Metodická príručka.
Wow, that's really interesting. That's a great experience to hear about. Give me one more idea though. By the way, some of our viewers wanted to know, some person who wants to come and study Slovak language only, like let's say as a bachelor's, master's or something, As a foreigner, can they do it? Like, the first year or the second year, they study partially in English and Slovak, English, Slovak, and then shift purely to Slovak or something like that. Like only a person who doesn't know Slovak but wants to do a graduation in Slovak language, not of any other stream.
As I know, if you want to study Slovak language as a Slovakist, in Bratislava, you have to have a higher level of Slovak already, because you want in the first year you want to learn language. You will learn certain disciplines. You will everything learn in Slovak, the history of language, phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax. So you will be already studying the update.
I see. So, and if someone wants to do this, it means initially for a year or so, maybe the person needs to take some online courses before coming, get his or her Slovak already to B2 level or something, and then come over and start maybe.
Yes, we had schoolmates. For example, we had schoolmates coming from Japan, schoolmates coming from Romania, and they were perfect. But they were already, I would say, B2 level at least. At least they have to be comfortable in communication, in understanding, because they have to study books in Slovak and about language and its system. But if you are in a country where the lectorate of Slovak language is, these lectorates are coordinated by Ministry of Education of Slovak Republic, and they are supported by this ministry. So if you are a member or a citizen of these countries, you can just start to study Slovak there. And there, at these universities, you start to learn the language itself, plus you start to learn about the system. And many times you get the lectures in your native language, for example, Serbian, German. Okay. And then later grades, you come to only Slovak studies. But I know that there are universities where you can start with learning Slovak itself, and then you go on with more disciplines.
I see. That's interesting. And, people generally say Slovak and Czech language is very similar to each other. And if you know Slovak, you understand Czech. I don't know if it is true. Like, I want an explanation from you. Is it only for the native speakers who are from childhood listening to Czech movies and, watching Czech series and all these things? Is it only for the native speakers that Czech language and Slovak language is so similar and they can understand each other? Or is it also for a foreigner who learns Slovak can also understand Czech?
Well, definitely Slovak can help them to understand Czech. Of course, it's not on the same level as it is with native Slovak native speakers, but since the structure, the system, and the vocabulary of these two languages is quite similar, there is many similarities. It can help you. We have even some researches. My colleagues were researching the understanding of students learning Slovak, how they understood Czech. And the results were really nice, that it helped them. And for example, many times to our school, summer school, come the students, for example, from Korea, where they study, first of all, Czech, and then they start to study Slovak. And it also is helping them. Of course, there is this danger, this danger of, we call it false friends, when you know something in one language and you think it works the same way in the other language, but it doesn't, or it means something else. You have two words which look the same, but they mean something totally different. So this can be tricky sometimes. Definitely, if you know any structure of Slavic language, and especially Czech language, it will help you to understand and to make some structures in your head. If you are that kind of person who likes to have everything somehow organized, but it will help you definitely.
I see, but it's not like if you know Slovak, so you can speak as well Czech. It's not like that.
No, I mean many Slovak.
It will help you, but it's not like 80%.
Understand? Yes, it will help you with reception a lot. You will understand a lot passively when you read, when you listen. In this passive language skills, it will help you enormous. But as for the speaking, And for example, even some Slovaks, they think they speak Czech, but you know, the Czech could comment it. And the same with Czech-speaking Slovak. I mean, of course, we understand, and sometimes we made up some words, and we can as if speak a Czech, and we can speak Czech. But if you want to be really good, you also have to a little bit focus more on it.
The last question I have is like, what is your personal recommendation to someone who is starting up with Slovak now or in the future, and how to get the grip as fast as possible and learn the language as best as possible?
Do not learn a language only during the class. The language has to become part of your life 24 hours, 7 days a week. It means find as many possible things containing Slovak songs, movies, advertisements, friends, or just reading this Slovak English books. Find as many ways as possible just to pour out Slovak on you. So it's not, you just really have to get in touch with the language and live with the language.
You live the language, yeah. You just don't learn it in the class. Yeah, because that is something maybe we were facing as well when we were learning German in our class, because everyone outside speaks Slovak. Even our teacher used to speak Slovak, and inside the class everyone was trying to speak German, and it didn't have a practice. Whereas with Slovak, the good part is you go to a pizza shop or you go to, I don't know, a bar, club, anywhere, you just ask them in Slovak. So that's really a good part while you're in Slovakia especially. So thank you for all your time today, and thank you to all our viewers for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it and had some insight. All the links to the in the description, there will be links to all the important books and materials in Slovak. Also, if you have any questions, do comment in the video. Helena will personally answer like any questions you have. Also, some of our contact ID and website will be there available in our description. So feel free to reach out. And with any paperworks or studying in Slovakia related queries you have, do not forget to reach us out at www.studyinslovakia.sk. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, do videnia.
Do videnia, tešilo ma.